Turkish police detained over 300 people attempting to march to Taksim Square for May Day, despite a government ban. Protesters, including lawyers, students, and trade unionists, called for labour rights and democratic freedoms. Marking International Workers' Day, the lawyers of Abdullah Öcalan have responded to an invitation from the Zurich May Day Festival, sending a message on behalf of their client, who was invited as keynote speaker. Amnesty International's annual report reveals a worsening global human rights crisis in 2024, highlighting severe issues including climate-induced displacement, unchecked digital surveillance, and increased repression against activists, minorities, and refugees across various regions worldwide. A new report published on Wednesday by Bahçeşehir University Center for Economic and Social Research warns that deep poverty remains a chronic and widespread crisis in Turkey, with an estimated 6.5 million people unable to afford 5 out of 6 essential living needs as of 2023. Learn more with Medya News. Hundreds of people have been detained in Istanbul after attempting to march to Taksim Square on May Day, defying a long-standing government ban on gatherings in the symbolic city centre. From early morning, groups began assembling in the Şişli and Mecidiyeköy districts following a call by the 1st of May Taksim Organising Committee, a coalition of trade unions, youth groups and leftist organisations. Chanting slogans and carrying banners reading "Taksim belongs to the people," protesters attempted to reach the square via back streets. Police intervened forcefully, surrounding demonstrators, dragging some away, and making widespread arrests. By midday, at least 300 people had been detained, including lawyers, students, and union members, according to the Progressive Lawyers Association. Despite legal rulings from both Turkish and European courts affirming the right to demonstrate in Taksim, the ban remains in place, officially due to security concerns. This year, authorities sealed off the square before dawn and restricted access to surrounding areas. Meanwhile, an authorized rally in the Asian side district of Kadıköy went ahead under tight police control, drawing thousands who called for workers' rights and democratic reforms. Media access was also restricted across the city, drawing further criticism from journalist groups and rights advocates. Marking International Workers' Day, lawyers for imprisoned Kurdish leader Abdullah Öcalan have delivered a message on his behalf to the Zurich May Day Festival in Switzerland. Öcalan had been invited to deliver the keynote address at this year's event, though he remains in isolation on İmralı Island. The statement, conveyed by the Asrın Law Office, extends greetings to internationalist friends and comrades and lays out a vision of democratic socialism shaped by 5 decades of political struggle. Öcalan reaffirms his call for a peaceful resolution to the Kurdish question in Turkey, linking it to wider global movements for justice, equality, and freedom. The message praises the historic resistance of the labour movement and aligns it with feminist, ecological, and cultural struggles. It describes democratic socialism as the pathway toward genuine peace and freedom, particularly in a Middle East scarred by war and repression. Öcalan calls for an international alliance of the oppressed against what he terms capitalist modernity and urges solidarity against exploitation, environmental destruction, and the persecution of minorities. His message concludes with warm greetings to workers worldwide and a hope for future May Days celebrated in freedom. Amnesty International has warned of a worsening global human rights crisis, as revealed in its annual report released on Tuesday. The 2024 assessment paints a stark picture, highlighting the compounded impact of climate inaction, digital surveillance, and increasing repression worldwide. Covering over 150 countries, the report points to climate-induced displacement as a major driver of instability. Millions across Africa and Asia have been forced from their homes due to extreme weather, while wealthier nations continue to fall short on promised climate finance, deepening global inequalities. Digital rights also came under sharp scrutiny. Amnesty cited India's digitized welfare system as an example of how technology is being used in ways that marginalize vulnerable groups. The report called for stronger enforcement of Europe's Digital Services Act and noted ongoing investigations into platforms such as TikTok. Authoritarianism is on the rise, Amnesty said, with governments in countries like Turkey, Iran, and Russia clamping down on journalists, opposition voices, and human rights defenders. 3 in 5 young activists now face online harassment globally. Amnesty urged world leaders to prioritize human rights and warned that without collective resistance, the erosion of freedoms and dignity will only accelerate. A new study from Bahçeşehir University's Beytam Research Center has revealed that deep poverty remains a widespread and entrenched crisis in Turkey, despite recent economic growth. According to the 2023 findings, around 7.7% of the population, approximately 6.5 million people, are unable to meet even 5 of 6 basic material needs. The report defines deep poverty through essential indicators such as the ability to heat one's home, pay bills, eat protein regularly, and afford adequate footwear and clothing. Even more stark, 2.8 million people, 3.3% of the population, met none of these basic criteria, indicating extreme deep poverty. Regional disparities are striking. Southeastern Anatolia recorded a deep poverty rate of over 20%, while Istanbul, often associated with wealth, showed an above-average rate due to soaring living costs. Researchers warned that these figures expose structural inequality, with education levels and informal employment closely linked to poverty. They call for regionally targeted policies, including vocational training, cost of living support, and social security reform, to address the root causes of deprivation. As Turkey approaches future elections, Beytam argues that tackling deep poverty head-on will be essential to rebuilding trust and securing long-term stability.